So there was one point in particular where I really got interested in the idea of how to kind of combat or cope with or deal with anxiety. And this kind of came up for me as I was really working to overcome my introversion, right? To be more social, to be able to be the life of the party, to enjoy going out, and to get to a point where others would have more fun because I was around. Right, so not just someone who's shy, couldn't open up, but someone who is, could be the life of the party. But in working towards that, it was a long journey. And when I started out, I definitely had a lot of anxiety in just even being in certain social settings. So being out at a bar, I didn't even usually go to bars or clubs, but when I did, it made me uncomfortable from the start, right? Even really from even just thinking about the idea of going out made me a bit uncomfortable, much less when I started actually pushing myself to do it anyways, to kind of try and start practicing and getting better at it. I would be in these social settings and really start to feel the anxiety when I looked around, saw the people in conversation with their friends, having fun, and I was kind of standing alone by myself, right? That was the time that gave me the most anxiety, feeling like I was an outsider and out of place there. So that fueled me to start thinking about ways of, okay, how can I better cope with this anxiety? How can I better deal with it? Because I could see that it was holding me back, right? I want to be more extroverted, make more friends, go on more dates, have better business relationships in terms of networking and in terms of possible sales. And so I saw that these kind of social skills that I was lacking a bit were really holding me back. And so this anxiety was something I really had to combat. And so I really got into the idea of, okay, how to get past this anxiety, how to deal with it, how to manage it so that when I am out, when I'm living my life, when I'm working towards living that best life, how can I make sure that this isn't holding me back? One thing that I kept coming across in that sense was, or in that pursuit, was mindfulness and meditation, right? So just starting with the definition, mindfulness is being aware of your thoughts, feelings, and bodily sensations without judgment or any preconceived notions about it, right? So it's kind of awareness of yourself in your environment and an acceptance of yourself. Okay, and so why is this important? Why should you care? Um, it's because studies have shown that having a greater degree of mindfulness or having cultivated a greater mindfulness practice within yourself has benefits in other areas of life as well. In one study, there were 20 meditators who went on a 10-day meditation retreat. At the end of the retreat, the meditators reported less rumination, so less kind of thinking about negative thoughts from the past, decreased negative emotions overall, a better sense of knowing how to deal with or thinking about their relationships and conflicts in those relationships, and they even had a better working memory. So, this study suggests that the practice of cultivating kind of this internal awareness can help us with emotional regulation and even have some other beneficial effects for our minds. There have been other studies that assess people and how mindful they are, right? So they essentially ask people a bunch of questions, and based on how they answer these questions, kind of put them on a mindfulness scale of more or less mindful. They found that those folks who are more mindful, as the other study found, had better emotional regulation, right? So they were better able to control their emotions. Now, given that mindfulness can help us feel better, have other kind of benefits as well, help us cope with anxiety and stress from life, how do you actually practice it? How do you get it? So there are a number of different ways, and I tend to think of these in kind of three different buckets, or kind of from a few different lenses. So, one set of mindfulness and meditation practices I think is focused around recognizing and or changing the thoughts in your mind, right? So it's more of, I would say, a mental practice. And so I think the kind of classic mindfulness meditation of sitting, noticing your thoughts as they come up, you're noticing them without judgment, but also when they come up, you're letting them go. So kind of releasing them from your mind, practice to going back to a more present state where you're not focused on these thoughts, but just kind of when the thought does come up, you recognize it, accept it, and clear your mind, right? Some people do this 5 minutes a day, some people do this, an hour a day, some people don't do it every day, but the point is through this practice of confronting thoughts, accepting them, and then going back to a clear mind, you're kind of building a muscle, right? You're kind of building your mindfulness muscle. You're growing and cultivating your mind's ability to step away from something that's stressful or something that you're thinking about and kind of reset a bit. And when you can more easily reset, you're less likely to go down a path of, a downward spiral or getting too upset or kind of more upset than the situation allows, right? Or really calls for. So, in cultivating this practice, it's one way to help relieve anxiety, stressors of an environment by being able to kind of reset, go back to a more centered place, and then deal with the situation that you're in from there. Another group of mindfulness practices centers around becoming more mindful through focusing on your environment, right? So the idea is to take you from thinking about thoughts in your head or feelings of anxiety or something else to having a heightened sense of what's going around you in your environment so that in doing so, you're more present with where you are in that particular moment and less out of your head. So, one example of this is the 5-4-3-2-1 exercise. So, this exercise has you kind of mentally activate the different senses of your body and focus on the environment at the same time. You start with naming 5 things that you can see currently in your environment. Then you move on to thinking about 4 things that you could feel in your environment. And when you think about these things, you think about how they would feel to touch them, right? What that sensation would be like. After that, you think about 3 things that you could hear in your environment or that could make noise in your environment and what that noise would sound like. Then you think about 2 things environment in your environment that you could smell or that have a smell and what that smell would be like. And lastly, you think about something in your environment that you could taste and what that taste would taste like. Right? So by thinking about our environment in these different ways, connecting them to our senses, we're kind of refocusing away from our thoughts and what's going on in our head to being more present in the moment by reconnecting with our environment, the things around us, and the sensations with our body, which actually gets into the last kind of way or group that I think about a lot of meditation practices as having you get out of your head through refocusing and paying extra special attention to sensations in your body. So, another kind of broad category I think about when it comes to this is about breathing exercises, right? So, there are a number of different breathing exercises, but one of them that I'm just going to highlight here is the 4-7-8 breathing exercise. As the name suggests, you're going to be breathing, but you're going to inhale for 4 seconds, hold that breath for 7 seconds, and then exhale for 8 seconds. And by deliberately focusing on these longer extended breaths, you're using kind of some of the somatic processes, some of the bodily functions to these longer breaths to calm yourself down, but you're also refocusing on your body, on your breath, on how you're feeling, the sensations inside to get yourself out of your head and get you to become more calm, right? So, all these different exercises I've highlighted here, and by the way, these are not exhaustive, there are many more, um, but all these different exercises are ones that you're supposed to be able to do kind of in a moment where you're feeling high stress to help you get back to a more calm level so that you can make the best decision and kind of have the best outcomes in life, right? No one makes better decisions when they're stressed and anxious and feeling different pressures. You want to be able to look at the world and evaluate things from a calm, calculated place and not from, a place of feeling anxious or feeling out of place or feeling pressured. One other thing with these meditation practices that I outlined is there should be a recognition that just because these are proven meditation practices and just because mindfulness has studies to back its success, it doesn't mean that just doing the practices once or twice or even a few times is going to be enough for you to see results. And this really kind of was something that I had to think about and had to adopt myself, right? I feel like I had tried meditation earlier in life, done it for a couple days, maybe even up to a week, and just felt like, you know what, I'm just wasting my time sitting staring at a wall. I'm not really getting anything out of this. It wasn't until I was listening to a podcast that had Joe Mazzulla, the Celtics head coach, on it. And he was talking about a program that he went through to cultivate a greater sense of calm, right? And in this program, it was a 10-week program, and there was a doctor who kind of assessed people throughout the program. And what she found was that it wasn't until week 4 that many people started reporting noticeable results and improvements, right? So that same idea about it taking time applies to meditation as well. This was sort of kind of a meditation program, but a little bit different. Um, but that same idea does apply with meditation. And it's the idea that it takes time. This is something that you have to practice at, that you have to get better at over time. It's not just something that you'll be able to do once or twice and automatically see results, right? It may be like the gym. You may have to go to the gym consistently for a while before you start seeing the results, before you start seeing the gains. It's the same thing with meditation. You may have to meditate consistently and regularly for a while, for weeks or maybe even a couple months before you start to feel the results. What I will say is that for me, when I did that, started meditating over the course of months, it was something that got easier for me, right? So it used to take, I'd say, I don't know, 15, 20 minutes for me to feel like, okay, I'm really in a place of greater calm. And as I meditated over the course of months, I noticed that that time to get to a place of calm shrank greatly, right? So that sometimes, even in kind of stressful moments, instances, I can kind of give myself a quick meditation, a quick deeper breath, clear my mind, and I'm right back there in that place of calm. So it may be something where it takes a while to get started, it takes a while to see benefits, but also once you start seeing those benefits, once you get good at it, then it becomes much easier, much quicker, and maybe doesn't require the same time investment as it did initially when you were just kind of starting out, just getting used to it. Although I named different meditation practices, there are also kind of ways to get meditative benefits and cultivate a greater sense of calm kind of in a more everyday sense. So one place to do that is kind of with your hobbies, right? Things that can be productive, but that can also help you cultivate a greater sense of calm, help give you the benefits that would be like a meditation through kind of training yourself to refocus your mind, stay away from these kind of thoughts and negative beliefs that may be running through your head, thinking about past situations or thinking about the future, what could have gone better, what you want to do for next time, but help you cultivate a greater presence, a greater mindfulness, a greater sense of what's going on around you in this present moment so that you can show up in a different way, right? So some of these productive hobbies, again, thinking through the lens of environment and mind and body. And again, starting with the mind, one way to kind of refocus your cognition or hopefully help get you out of your head could be through journaling, right? You may be focused on something that's going on in your head, but the practice of writing it out, writing it down, helps you think about the best way to communicate what's going on in your head, to capture what's going on in your head. And in writing and kind of putting it in this other view, you're kind of removing yourself one step away, right? When it's in your head, it's the feelings. When it's on paper, it's the thoughts that evoke the feelings. And so by getting this kind of putting yourself this 1 degree farther away, you can actually do good benefits. You can actually have good benefits from journaling, even if it's about something that may be that may have caused you anxiety in the past, right? So kind of further along that is writing in general, writing a book, telling a story, either through written story or in conversation with others, right? Storytelling is also a way to help get you kind of out of your head by refocusing on something else. When you're focused on telling the story, when you're focused on communicating with others, when you're focused on writing, it helps to get you away from these other thoughts that aren't about what you're writing or aren't about the story that you're telling. And so by kind of refocusing your mind, it can help you kind of get to a different place, a place of greater calm that gives you benefits that help you kind of in other areas of life. Another version of this that also has proven results is reading, right? So reading helps to put you kind of in someone else's shoes, right? Helps you get you out of your own head and think more about what someone else may be thinking or what someone else went through. And particularly if you're big into personal improvement, self-development, reading is a great way to kind of learn from mentors and gurus worldwide. You won't always have direct access to someone to know what they thought about a situation, but there are plenty of books, podcasts, videos out there to help you understand how other people thought through certain situations, what they encountered, what they challenged, what were their challenges, and how they overcame them, right? So by doing all these things, you're kind of refocusing away from what's going on in your head, thinking about something else, either another story, someone else's experiences, or thinking about how to best communicate your story in a way that others might accept or read through or connect with, or even yourself at a future time might be able to look back on. And that just gets you a little bit kind of further away from, these kind of loop that can sometimes go on with the thoughts in your head where you're thinking and thinking and thinking and thinking. From the lens of getting out of your head by focusing on more bodily sensations. Some of the most common ways that you'll hear about are walking and yoga and other forms of exercise, right? So either kind of the rhythmic walking, at a slower, comfortable pace, or through yoga, through kind of stretching, putting your body in different positions, or, even more intense exercises. But by really working your body, putting yourself through stresses, through different sensations, through different movements, it gives you a chance to focus on your body to get that step further away from being in your head, kind of going back on these racing thoughts. And by coming back to your body and what you're feeling, you're getting further away from staying in your head and what you're thinking and these thoughts that may be holding you back or that may be kind of taking you away from being present and really enjoying the full moment, enjoying what life has to offer for you. So some other hobbies that can help cultivate a sense of calm and also kind of, activate your body is drawing, creating art, And even if that art is like knitting or something else, right? This is you kind of developing a skill, developing something that either you can enjoy or others can enjoy as well. And also in kind of using that focus to knit or to create your art, you're having to step away from the anxiety that you may feel at other times, and get to a more calm place, a more focused place on something else that's not these thoughts that are running through your head. That's helping you be more productive, get something out of it, and get to a better sense of calm, right? Because, like I said before, getting to a sense of calm is something that you get better at the more you practice, right? So if you can find a hobby, something that you be doing in your spare time, that's something that you enjoy, that can help you develop this kind of ability to calm yourself, to become calm when you're anxious, the better you'll be for it, right? The easier it'll be to make it part of your life, and the more happy you'll be in the long term because of it. Thinking through the lens of focusing on the environment to help get us out of our head, one easy way to do this is to spend more time in nature, right? There's even been talk about how kind of even walking bare feet in nature, call it being grounded, has particular health benefits, but just spending time outside in nature has been shown to have health benefits as well. And it can help you cultivate this sense of calm that you can hopefully think back to, reflect on, remember when you're in more stressful or more trying situations as well. Extending that thought of being in nature is the thought of traveling, right? Seeing different places, even if it's not, overseas traveling, even if it's, a place 5, 10, 15 minutes away from where you're at now. The idea of being in a different environment to help you focus on the environment is one that can help you kind of get out of your head when you have these kind of ruminating thoughts. If you're not at a place where you're getting out or where you want to get out or where you're ready to go outside or where that's not an option for you, inside there's also things like gardening, right? So that's a way to get closer to nature while still being indoors, kind of, have a couple plants at your own house that you can kind of come and tend to and look after. Um, or it could be something like cleaning your house, right? That's still focusing on your environment, still productive, can help you then in thinking about the tasks that you have to do, kind of moving here and that. Um, putting a little elbow grease into getting things cleaner and neater. That that can help you kind of refocus your mind and get to a more calm place. Right now that we've gone over cultivating mindfulness practice and gone over how to have hobbies and other activities that may give you some of the same benefits of a mindfulness meditation practice, but that are more everyday activities. I want to highlight one everyday activity that I think can also kind of undermine mindfulness efforts, right? And that's excessive screen time, right? There have been a lot of studies about how too much screen time is correlated with other negative effects, particularly mental health effects. And so reducing screen time can be one way to help cultivate a greater sense of calm as well. One of the first things you can do to help reduce screen time is to actually start measuring your screen time, right? So if you have an iPhone, you could go to screen time and the settings there. Or if you're on an Android phone, you can go to digital well-being in your phone settings. And there are ways where you can begin to measure how much time you're spending using, how much time you're spending on your phone, and how much time you're spending using different apps, right? So these programs will give you a breakdown that you can then use to target, okay, how am I really spending time on my phone and how much time am I really spending on my phone, right? Once you are aware of how much time you're spending and how much time you're spending in different apps, then you can think about starting to limit the time in certain apps, right? So again, some of these same programs that I mentioned have ways to limit the time you spend in a certain app, right? So if you notice you're spending too much time on social media, let's say Instagram, then you can set up a specific limit to tell you, after say 15 minutes or however long you set the limit for, that you spent that much time on Instagram, right? It'll let you know, and then you can either take the action yourself, or you can have it be more of a hard limit that outright stops you from doing more than the 15 minutes. If limiting the app isn't working for you, you can take the more extreme step of deleting apps that you feel like are being time sucks for you, right? So that's one way to just step away from it completely. As I've been working to reduce my own screen time, there have been several games that I had on my phone that I've deleted. And I'm surprised myself in that I don't miss the games at all. I enjoyed them when I was playing them, but I'm also enjoying the benefits I'm getting from doing other things with my time. And in keeping with ways to help make sure that phones and screens aren't a distraction to you, another strategy is to turn off the phone notifications, right? Or silence them, right? And you can do this kind of by app so that certain apps don't give you notifications, or you can, do it more generally so that no apps give you any notifications or make any sounds. But by stopping the phone's ability to kind of break your concentration to say, hey, come look at me, you're hopefully then creating a little bit more distance between you and the phone, which then leads to you not kind of delving into excessive screen time, not the compulsive, pick up my phone to look at one thing, and that leads to another and leads to another and going down a spiral. Other ways to kind of reduce the pull of the phone are again to think about it as part of your environment, right? So one way to do this is to have certain parts of your environment be phone free, right? So it could be your bedroom, right? And you're not going to use your phone while you're in your bedroom, and in fact, you're not going to bring your phone into your bedroom, right? Particularly if you're like many people who spend a lot of time on their phone in the morning and at night, say either when they first wake up or before they go to bed. Keeping your phone out of your room, like physically keeping it out of your room, can be a big step towards helping you cut down on that excess screen time. A similar idea is to have phone only time, right? So it's time where when you're on your phone, that's the only thing you're doing is paying attention to your phone, right? So it would mean no phone while watching TV, right? Oh, I'm, on my phone playing a game, but also, streaming some Netflix or something, right? This separating the phone from other activities as well cause you to be more mindful about how you're using your phone and to really devote your focus to either the phone or to something else, which can help you kind of cut down on excess screen time, cut down on kind of excess flood of images, ideas, and kind of social pressures that may not be helpful to you. And the last strategy that I'm just going to touch on in this video, but follow up on in another one, which is why you should subscribe so that you're aware of when the videos do come out. But this last strategy is to really question the benefits of your phone time, right? So many of us may want to reduce screen time. We may feel like it's bad for our mental health or that for the time that we're putting in, we're not getting that much value out of it. Or we just think we could be more efficient with our time, focus on other things, have a different side hustle that brings in more money, whatever the case may be. But we're still spending more time than we want actually on our phones. So, in thinking about, well, really, what am I getting out of spending time on our phones? And really kind of questioning that at a deeper level, we may uncover some things that cause us to really think about our relationship with screen time in a different way. And so, one idea that I want to explore here is the idea that we're spending so much time on our phones because it's easy and because there isn't a way to do it wrong, right? That it's more of a judgment free activity and pastime than kind of some other activities, right? There's no wrong way to really watch TV, right? You can be doing multiple things, you can be distracted, but still kind of getting some benefit out of TV, and really not many people, if anyone's going to judge you for it. So maybe by spending so much time on a screen or in front of a screen, we're avoiding other things that could be more difficult or that could invite more judgment from society or our peers or even ourselves, right? So if you think about more of what could I be doing if I was not spending so much time on my phone, that can be a motivating force to say, to look at yourself and say, one, am I avoiding certain things because my phone is easy? And could I be challenging myself to kind of reach a higher level to be more fulfilled by doing these harder things and achieving them? And by just thinking about what other benefits am I maybe missing out on by spending so much time in front of a screen? And thinking about these things, it can help us get refocused and recommitted to other activities that are outside the phone, right? To being more productive, to being our best selves. So make sure you subscribe to this channel. A lot of these things I talk about are going to be in a class that I'm putting out soon. So subscribe to the channel so that you're aware of the new videos that come out and you'll be aware of the class that comes out so you can check out the content there. Thank you, and I hope you all have a great day. Bye.